Good morning, my dear student. Welcome to my online class presentation and this class for Honors 4th year student. Before starting my session, I would like to introduce myself. That is, I am Polirani Saha, Assistant Professor, Ananda Mohan College. I hope all of you are fine and fit and stay at home. You see the name of the topic, my today's topic, a presentation on the definition of love, the very famous poem of the Andrew Marvell, the 17th century poet. Before starting my session, I would like to say something about Andrew Marvell. Andrew Marvell was an English poet. He born on 31st March 1621 and died on 16 August 1678. He was a metaphysical poet, satirist, and politician who sat in the House of Commons of various times between 1659 and 1678. During Commonwealth period, he was a colleague and friend of John Milton. He adopted familiar forms, and this form he infused to them with his unique concepts, with larger questions about life and death. Marvell is classified as a metaphysical poet. The metaphysical poet or poetry flourished in the first half of the 17th century. Their love poetry actually deals with the philosophical, not the romantic. Here, Marvell's concepts are geometrical and astronomical. Whenever you read this poem, you find this point. I present it point by point. That is, the first one is the poet speaks in the first person, and the second one is the tone of the poem is humorous and ironic. And the third one is written on the metaphysical concept of wit. The tone of this poem, humorous and ironic, actually this tone is established is by means of wit. Much has been written on the metaphysical concept of wit. The meter is a very regular iambic tetrameter. The fill is of couplet form with heavy punctuation at the end of every second line. Each stanza is a complex sentence. This form is so defined, so restricted that it invites the ironic awareness of the tension between the formal control of the situational powerless of the poet. This poem has 8 quatrains. This title of the poem suggests much an approach. It is this poem actually appears as an argument leading to the therefore of the final stanza. It must be realized, however, that metaphysical poetry utilizes ambiguity, double meaning, and ironies. Here the term, actually definition, has its original Latin meaning of restriction, and it has a double meaning, that is the definition, that means the restriction. Marvell aim is to link the two meaning. The poet speaks in the first person, and here love refers to the state, not the person, who is never described. The object of love remains a fiction here. This is the important thing we find in the poem. That is, this definition has double meaning. That is, the Latin meaning of the definition is the restriction, and here Marvell aims to link the two meaning, and the poet speaks in the first person, and here love refers to the state, not the person who is never described. The object of love here remains a fiction. What is the summary? We find that in the poem, the definition of love is a poem by Andrew Marvell, was an English poet whose work is actually closely associated with the metaphysical poets of the 17th century. In this class, I offer a short summary and the analysis of this poem. The speaker of the poem, the first, announced that the love he feels is rare because it was born of despair of knowing that the one he loved would never be his impossibility. Indeed, actually, only despair rather than the hope could have shown him what it was like to experience divine love. In other words, the truly special love is that which is hopeless, because we know we cannot have the person we desire. Hopeless love often strikes us so much more powerfully than hopeful love, actually, where we think something may come of our desire. The speaker here blames the fate, which, like hope and desire, is capitalized and so personified. For this, he could easily actually obtain his love. But fate, jealously realizing that he and his lover would be perfect for each other, keeps intervening and preventing such a match from overtaking place. Though the two lovers are made for each other, they will never be together. The definition of love is not just about defining what is love, but about understanding how definite it is, how clearly marked out as hopeless and lost. At the very opening of the poem, the speaker actually expressed the characteristics and origin of his love. His love has a strong and high object and was begotten by despair upon the impossibility. This is his supreme or divine life, is born of the union of the despair and the impossibility of physical union. Only determined despair can show him such a spiritual love, while hope has no contribution to his love yet. Yet he might arrive at his destination, his extended soul, but fate always prevents him from being united, like a carpenter drives iron lodges into a log of wood in order to split it into two parts. Then the speaker tells that their union would be possible if three impossible conditions are fulfilled. Therefore, in the conclusion is that though the love serves as a bond between them, it will not be fulfilled, because faith with jealous eye does see at them. Their situation is conjunction of the mind, but opposition of the stars. That is, they are spiritually united but physically separated. This is the summary of the poem. Whatever we find the theme, what is the theme of the poem? That is the theme of the poem. We find that the first one theme is love and the second theme is the fate. The poem, the definition of love, describes the character of poet's love for his beloved. And so love is the most important theme of this poem. This love, says the poet, is perfect and therefore unattainable. This love is divine, but for that reason hopeless. The perfect love of this kind is most unwelcome to faith. And here we find another important theme of the poem, that is the faith. And he thinks that, that is the speaker of the poem, the perfect love of this kind, because he thinks that his love is divine, and but for that reason was hopeless. The perfect love of this kind is most unwelcome to faith, who therefore never permits the union of perfect lovers. This kind of perfect love can mean only spiritual union but never a physical one. This love is the conjunction of the mind and the opposition of the stars. Here we find that the two important themes we find, that is the first one is love, and the second one is that important theme is the faith. The love says that how the characteristics of his love, that is the poet's love for his beloved, its characteristics, that is his love is perfect, and so and therefore it is unattainable. This love is divine, for this reason it is hopeless. This perfect love is the most kind of is unwelcome to the faith, and we find the another thing is the theme is the faith, because faith has a jealousy eye on this kind of love affairs, and he never perfect, that is faith never permits the union of perfect lovers. This kind of perfect love actually can mean only a spiritual union but never a physical one. Here we find the another thing is that is the metaphysical concept. Andrew Marvell used many types of concept that is actually geometrical and astronomical. Before starting the point of the concept, I will say something about the metaphysical concept. What is metaphysical concept? A metaphysical concept is a complex literary device that makes a comparison between the spiritual aspect of a person and the physical thing in the world. Simply, you can say that metaphysical concept is an extended metaphor. This is one kind of metaphor, but it is an extended metaphor. This concept associated with the metaphysical poets of the 17th century. Here we find the metaphysical concept. This poem contains a number of metaphysical concepts which can be best defined. The first one by the lines of the begotten by despair upon the impossibility. This idea is that the poet's love is unattainable. But in order to express this idea, the poet actually personifies the despair and impossibility, and imagines that his love was produced by their union. That is, the poet thinks that their love was produced by their union of despair and the impossibility. There is another use of concept in the poem that is a more fantastic concept that of the previous discussed. The poet says his love can be achieved only if three conditions are fulfilled. First, the spinning planets must collapse. Second, the earth should be torn asunder by some fresh convulsion. And the third one is the whole world would be projected or flattened into a planet. As these three conditions are impossible to fulfill, the lovers cannot be united. The another concept is concept occurs in The Stranger, in which the poet compares the love between him and his beloved to the parallel lines, which can never meet. Only oblique lines meet in all geometrical angles, and in the same way, only the passion of guilt or adulteress or lovers can be satisfied. The two closing lines of the poem also contain a metaphysical concept. The love which binds the poet with his beloved has the genus conjunction, and the difference is the of the mind. The love that fate so enviously diverse has the genus opposition and the difference of the stars. They entered as the allies of faith. Opposition and conjunction are antonyms, but not merely astronomical metaphors here, irrespective of the attendant stars and notwithstanding the sustained astronomical imagery. This is the conceit, that is metaphysical conceit, Andrew Marvell used in his poem, in this poem, the definition of love. In conclusion, we can say that this poem actually expresses the Platonic idea of love as an unfulfilled longing for. The speaker is somewhat confused, the discovery of his love being so rare and strange, yet so extraordinary that it just causes despair in the speaker, and the possibility of getting the love is almost dull. He describes the character of the poet's love for his beloved. This love, says the poet, that is perfect and therefore unattainable, and this love is divine, but for that very reason hopeless. The perfect love of this kind is most unwelcome to faith, because who therefore never permits the union of perfect lovers. This kind of perfect love can mean only a spiritual union, but never a physical one. This love is the conjunction of the mind and the opposition of the stars. And this is the summary and analysis of the poem, The Definition Love. I know it is quite impossible to make understandable this poem in one session, but you know the present situation. I hope very soon we are in our classroom and we can enjoy our class like our previous days. Until then, you continue these online classes and you take the vaccine. Then we can start our class in our classroom. Thanks for your participation. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you.